Hey, what's up, guys? It's Rich with Red Phone Video here, and today I'm going to talk to you about a movie that Scream Factory just sent to me. It's a horror movie from 1996. It was directed by Tom Holland, and that movie is Stephen King's Thinner. So, Thinner is a body horror movie. I would consider it body horror. It has themes of greed, gluttony, classism, and of course, there's always that theme with Stephen King about people getting their comeuppance. Thinner was a movie that was critically panned when it first came out. Like, I remember a lot of the reviews weren't too favorable. You know, the critics weren't too kind towards Thinner. But I think in recent years, this movie's had a little bit of a resurgence. It has a little bit of a cult following now, which is awesome because I remember seeing this in the theater and I actually enjoyed it. I don't know what all the fuss was about. You know, this movie was made on a relatively low budget. It was shot in Maine. And I want to say it was made for $8 million and it only grossed worldwide somewhere around $15-16 million. So as I mentioned, this movie was co-written and directed by Tom Holland, who also directed Child's Play, Fright Night. He was the screenwriter for Psycho 2, Class of 1984, and of course, one of my favorites, Scream for Help. Another co-writer on the script was Michael McDowell, who also was the screenwriter for Beetlejuice, and I'm a big fan of his work as well. I just think this movie's good. I'm not saying it's anything great, but I think in regards to it being a Stephen King story, most people, when they compare it to Stephen King's other works, they think it's kind of average. But I've always viewed it as a Richard Bachman story, which it is. This was written under Stephen King's pseudonym, Richard Bachman. So I like how it has that Richard Bachman feel. It definitely leans into that grim, bleak territory. It's hopeless, it's nihilistic, and it more or less leans into the dark side of human nature, which I'm a big fan of. So as far as the plot goes for Thinner, you have this upper-class, overweight lawyer, Billy Halleck, played by RoboCop 3 himself, Robert Burke. He carelessly runs over an old gypsy woman one night while his wife is giving him roadhead. And after he's exonerated from the accident, Billy has a curse placed on him by the old woman's gypsy father, played by Michael Constantine, which results in Billy losing a deathly amount of weight in a short period of time. Michael Constantine from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, he plays the gypsy family patriarch, and he does an awesome job in this movie. Like, his makeup combined with his performance used to really freak me out as a kid. Then you have the hot as hell Carrie Wooer from Anaconda and Eight-Legged Freaks. Her performance is really solid, memorable in this as well. And I also like the late great character actor Daniel Von Bargen turning up in this movie. Like, if you guys remember him from Super Troopers, and he was also in Silence of the Lambs, he steals just about every scene that he's in, too. But the MVP of the movie to me is David Mamet regular Joe Mantegna. Joe Mantegna plays one of Billy's mobster clients, who Billy recruits to take on the family of gypsies and hopefully lift the curse. And honestly, if it wasn't for Joe Mantegna's character, this movie would probably start to sag a little bit in the second half. But due to Joe Mantegna's performance and just his character in general, this movie is really elevated in the second half by his performance, and I just think it's great. So as far as the transfer goes on this movie, I thought it looked great. I did have a few issues with it. But there was no word from Scream Factory on the HD source or the scan. I think the transfer was just done on a bigger disc and at a higher bit rate, because I could tell this was a major improvement over the previous release from Olive Films. Overall, there was a good sense of clarity. The picture was sharp. Like I said, major improvement over the Olive release. However, I wasn't a big fan of the oversaturation. Like, some of the scenes at the gypsy camp and the carnival, they looked fresh, but in some scenes, the skin tones don't really look natural to me, and things are a little too bright for my taste. Like the scene with Daniel Von Bargen, that really stood out to me because I remember when I saw this movie originally in the theaters and also on home video and possibly on cable, the scene with Daniel Von Bargen just looked way darker. And even on the Olive Films release, it looks a little darker. And I just think some of the special effects, like the makeup, is a little too highlighted for me. But the film grain is smooth, it's not too noisy, you have solid black levels, and overall a good white balance in the movie, like especially in the daytime scenes where you're seeing like the people of the town and the community. All in all, the picture looks superb. Like I said, I had a problem with a little bit of the oversaturation. You know, the colors were a little too vibrant for my taste. But in terms of clarity, this picture is sharp, it looks fantastic. Now, getting into the special features on this release, you do get a new commentary with producer Mitchell Galen and Joe Mantegna, which I thought was entertaining. There's a commentary with Lee Gambin and novelist Aaron Dries, and a new interview with Tom Holland called Weight of the World, where he discusses the legacy of this movie and how modern horror movies suck. Then you have Thick and Thin, an interview with Bill Moseley's wife, Lucinda Jenny. The Incredible Shrinking Man, a segment with special effects artist Vincent Guastini. That was a highlight. You have the older commentary with Tom Holland and Joe Mantegna, and the vintage featurette, which I thought was great, The Magic of Special Effects Makeup. That showed a lot of cool stuff that went into this movie. And of course, you have the original theatrical trailer, the TV spots, and the still gallery. So yeah, is this release worth picking up? Yeah, I'd say so. And I'm just going to give you guys a look at the slipcover here. This is the original poster art, which I thought was great. And the one thing I didn't really like about this is that it has an eco case. I'm not a big fan of eco cases. I'll probably switch this thing out. But this is a good release. And if I'm comparing it to the Olive Films release, because I saw some people on Instagram, and Facebook asking whether or not they needed to upgrade, I would say yes. I am a big fan of this release here from Olive just because of this slipcover. I thought that had really attractive art. And there's that. So I'm definitely hanging on to this because of the slipcover. But yes, I would say go ahead and pick this thing up because this is overall a stellar release. And it did come with a poster here, so I'm just going to show you guys that really quick. So here is the poster for Thinner. If you guys can see that. So yeah, that is my release for Thinner, guys. I suggest you pick it up, like I said, if Scream Factory even still has it. I don't know if it was a site exclusive. I have no idea. But I would say it's probably still available. But anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You've been listening to Rich with Red Phone Video. And until next time, take care, keep watching awesome horror movies, and I will see you guys in the next video.